The paranormal surrounds us every day as a permanent reminder of past events, spirits who either won't move on or are supplanted between this world and the next move around us, affecting our inner senses. Many of them have unfinished business or a message to reveal for those who are capable of listening. Other times, it is residual energy that is retained in the atmosphere because of some catastrophic event. The actions are forced to play out and repeat over and over again. Join us as we take a closer look at a very famous historical landmark on Staten Island. Perhaps we will hear the long forgotten messages from those who still haunt to this day. The conference house was built in the 17th century by Captain Christopher Billop, a loyal soldier in the British Navy. Originally known as Manor of Bentley, his family and descendants will live here until the American Revolution, where they will be forced to emigrate to Nova Scotia after their home is confiscated by the state of New York because of their pro-British ties to England. Tell us how this particular house played such an important role in the American Revolution.
This house was built before 1680, so it was already 100 years old by the time of the American Revolution. And it's the site of the only attempt at peace during the whole American Revolution. Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Edward Rutledge, who was the delegate from the South Continental Congress from South Carolina, and also the youngest, met here with Lord Howe, who was British. They came by boat from Perth Amboy, were met at the water by Lord Howe. On the property were Hessians, like backups for the British. And they came in and they had their attempt at peace, which was not successful.
What was the house actually built for originally?
It was built for Captain Billop. He was British. He was a sea captain. And he built this house for his family.
Right near the water,
right.
Beautiful water
well,
here.
that was the mode of transportation.
Yes.
It was either horse or water.
Horse or water.
And he had stayed in his family to his grandson, Christopher, until the American Revolution.
This is an interesting room. What I feel from this room is that you created it as a dining room, but I don't feel that it is a dining room originally, that it was a dining room originally. What it feels like to me was a room where there was couches, where people were having discussions and meetings. Even the floor you can see is very worn down because I think there's been a lot of activity in this room. Even the little closet there, I feel like there were kids that used to hide in there and try to listen to what was going on, at the meetings. This, I believe, was a room where pretty much only men came. Women really weren't allowed in this room. And if there were women in here, they were servants, pretty much. That's the only women that really came into this room. So I would say this is more like a conference room than anything. And the house is, in general, because I walked around it, it's a very peaceful place, but the people living in it spiritually really don't want anybody in the house. They really are very overprotective over the space. And that's why you're here, because they drew you to this place to tell you, please watch over my house. With that kind of past, there must be many paranormal sightings in this area. What have you witnessed or perhaps heard from others?
There's quite a few incidents that have happened here.
Most
Most of it is very subtle. You will feel a breeze. You'll feel a touch. You'll see something. I was in the children's room one day doing something.
Now the children's room
room is this one right on the right upstairs. The two windows.
That's the window that when I came over, I saw a woman in the window.
Right.
And then my producer said to me, "Oh, everybody sees a woman in that window."
Right.
I didn't know that. You
Either
know,
that window or this one right above
Yeah,
us, which is
right.
that's like a study.
I keep seeing that woman go back and forth, and then there's also a man up there too.
One of the stories is that a young lady would signal across the water to the Americans when
Ah.
Christopher Phillip would be out, and they would come and take him
So
and hold
that's
him
why
hostage
she's in the window.
in the window
doing her
looking out
job.
and sort of like let them know when Christopher Phillip was around, and they would come over and snatch him and bring him over there and use him for
Wow.
ransom.
Well, she's still doing her job. There is, I would say, the person that I see in this room would be a man named Bertram, or Bertram, that kind of name. Bert, used to call him Bert. I feel him as more like a caretaker. So maybe he became very possessive over the house. I don't know if you know anything or it sounds familiar. See, a lot of the names that I may get are names of people that you may not know. Like when I went near the stairs, I saw that somebody was thrown down the stairs. And then one of the people here in your group said to me, oh yes, there was a murder here. And I didn't know that. Okay, but I know that there was a young woman murdered in this house.
That's what we heard.
Yeah, but I didn't know that prior to my reading. What was on these grounds before these houses were built on them?
This was all farmland.
Really?
And when the house was built, that's the way they lived. They had everything they needed was right here. Cows and sheep, and that's where they got their milk, their meat, everything. The only thing they didn't consume was horses because they needed them for transportation.
Right. Now, what happened that it turned from someone's personal family farmhouse to, a great place like this?
This
An
house went
historical
through.
building.
Sorry, this house went through many families before it got to where it is now.
Really?
At one time, it was a hotel. It was turned into a hotel, and I believe they even had an entrance on the other side with stairs going up. Because if you look, they rented it out, and in the 20s, they formed the Conference House Association because they didn't want it. There was so much history. And they started, and then with donations and help, they slowly built it to what it is today.
There's a lot about this room. This room has a lot of emotion, a lot of feeling. There's a lot of stuff going on in this room. Okay. All right. Well, first of all, I believe that this was the room where they ate, because I just get a feeling of eating, drinking, and being merry in this room. That's the feeling that I get. Let's see. When I looked in the room before, I saw on this wingback chair, I saw a gentleman named Paul that would sit here. And he was kind of like an important person in this house. I don't know if he lived in it or if he was a cousin or an uncle or, something like that. But he was, a relative, and that was his chair, all right? But this room is a place, there was eating that went on in here. This is a very happy room. There's a lot of joy. I hear a lot of children playing and having a lot of fun in the room. I see a lot of serving going on. I see a lot of eating going on. You set up the room this way, but this was not what was originally in this room. This was a place where people ate.